on. Okay, so what are application questions? Application questions are one of the most challenging questions in the PSLE science, okay, because it requires students to observe and analyze a context or situation that may arise in day-to-day situation, okay, and be able to link and explain using clear scientific concepts. All right, so basically, it is day-to-day situation, and the situation could be something that you are familiar with, or it could be something that you are not familiar with. Okay, there was one question in PSLE, they're asking you about submarine, I mean, it's submarine. Obviously, not many of us have a chance to be in a submarine. Okay, so basically it relates to day-to-day situation, and it may be situation that we are familiar with or situation that we are not familiar with. Okay, so what are some of the examples of application question? All right, so I purposely use actual past PSLE questions so that you will get an idea of the kind of question that you will be able to see later on when you're taking your PSLE. Okay, all right, so this is one question. Right, Wen Hao went for a swim. When he came out of the water, he felt cold. So you can see here three pictures. All right, first a boy, his body was dry before swimming, running towards the pool, and then after that, after coming out from the pool, the body was wet. Okay, and then the question continues saying that at that moment a strong wind blew and he felt even colder. Okay, right, then the question says, explain why he felt even colder when a strong wind blew. Okay, explain why he felt even colder when a strong wind blew. You can see here is a 2-mark question. All right, it's a 2-mark question. Okay. Okay, so this is one example. Later on, we will approach this question. Okay, this is another type of another past PSLE question. The diagram below shows how a platform can move a man on a wheelchair up or down the stairs. Okay, so you can see a man on a wheelchair and you can see a platform. Right? I think I've seen this before somewhere. I think in some hospital or some shopping center. All right, so the platform uses electrical energy to move. So explain why the platform uses more electrical energy. Okay, so more electrical energy when it moves up the man, when it moves the man up the stairs, than when it moves him down the stairs. Okay, so this is the 1-mark question. Okay, so this is example of an application question. You see, there is no experiment before it. There's some question, they would have some form of experiment in part A, but in this question straight away, okay, they ask you to apply, to observe and apply a relevant concept to answer this question. Okay, Ivana, right? So you're asking how did he get up? What do you mean by how he get up? How he get into the platform? Okay, later on we'll answer this question. Okay, all right. Okay, this is another example on electricity, electromagnet, past PSLE question. Okay, study the circuit shown below. When Ahmad closed circuit S, he noted that the iron ball moved up and down between points A and B. Okay, all right. Okay, yes, I think some of you may have done it before because it is a past PSLE question. Okay, I'm sure some of your teachers may have, shown you this question. All right. So, okay, so the keyword here is that the light bulb turn on and off repeatedly. Okay, why is it so? The light bulb turn on and off. Okay, so this is another example of application question. Right? No setup, no experiments, no control setup and so on. No, no setup A, setup B, but straight away they ask you this situation. Okay, and they ask you questions with regards to this setup. Okay, yes, this is a past PSLE question. Okay. All right, this is another example. I think I've done this in class with some of my classes. Okay, we take a look. This animal H lives in the desert. It stands on hot sand with 4 long legs. Okay, based on these findings, explain why having long legs is an advantage for animal H. Again, this is another application question. All right, where they ask you, why is it that having long legs is good for this animal? Okay, and obviously we know that this is a camel, right? Okay, but the animal doesn't matter. Sometimes they may give you very strange animals, so you should not be worried about that. Okay, you should focus on looking at the features of this animal. Okay, so I've shown you these 4 the four examples of application question. There are many application questions. All right. So importantly, now I'm going to share with you your thinking process. If you see any application question, all right, what can you do? What are the the things that should come into your mind when you see application question? Okay, so you can follow these four simple steps. Number one, observe and list. Okay, and list the key objects mentioned in the question. All right, observe and list the key objects. Later on, we will practice this. Okay, step number two, recall and identify science topic. Okay, from primary 3 to primary 6, there are many science topic that you have learned, right? Primary 3, you learn about plants, you learn about material. Okay, you learn about primary 4, you learn about heat, light, and then primary 5, you learn about plant reproduction, electricity. So you must be able to identify the science topic which is relevant to the question. Okay, if you're not able to identify the science topic, then we are in big trouble. Okay. Okay, step number 3, after you identify the science topic itself, is not enough. You must be able to identify the relevant concepts related to the question. Okay, so this is the tricky part, because for example, under the topic of water, okay, there are many concepts. All right, there are concepts. You are taught the concepts of condensation, application, condensation, evaporation, all right, melting, boiling. So there are many concepts under the topic of water, but you must be able to identify the right concepts. Okay. All right, Sarah, very good question. Sarah is asking, how do we know if it is an application question? Okay, like I mentioned earlier, application question are questions which relates to day-to-day situation. Okay, and we are expected to answer the question, okay, applying the scientific concepts that you have learned to the situation given. Okay, other kind of question that you see in the PSLE or in your exams, you see experiment question, right? They give you experiment setup. They give you a table, they give you a graphs. But in application question, they don't give you table. There's no graph, no table, no experiment setup. But it is daily life, day-to-day situation. So you are supposed to use the scientific concepts that you know and explain clearly. Okay, so that is how you identify application question. All right, and it's challenging. It's one of the more challenging questions in the exams and in the PSLE. Okay, so step number 3, scientific concept. Today's situation, what do you mean by today's situation? Day-to-day situation, not today's situation, day-to-day. Meaning that in real life, in what is happening around us. Okay, day-to-day situation. It could be in a park, it could be at home, all right? Just now the camel, right? Camel, you can see, it is a camel. This is electricity, okay? This is, you may see this in hospitals, all right? Here, all of us experienced swimming and then we felt cold, right? All of us felt cold. Once we get out of the swimming pool, we felt very cold, okay? So why? They ask you why. What is the reason? So you must use the right scientific concept and be able to explain clearly the question, okay? Okay, thank you for asking. All right, so step number 4. So after you identify the scientific concept, if you identify the wrong concept, that's it, right? You're in trouble, okay? So once you identify the right concept, then the next part is you must be able to explain, okay? This is where many students lose a lot of marks because they are not able to explain. You are not able to explain fully the concepts and relate to the question, okay? And you are not able to link back the concepts, okay, back to the situation, okay? So we will practice. Is it okay? Can we practice now? Okay, any question? Any question at this point of time? Okay, everyone here? All of you can hear me loud and clear. Atika, you there? Atika, Liana, can you hear me already? Taufik? Mikael, all okay? Okay, very good. So far, all of you understand? Okay, so far what we have done is that I've showed you some of the application question that you see in PSA. Those are actual PSLE questions. And then after that, so right in front of you now are the 4 steps. If you see any application question, okay, these are the 4 steps that should come into your mind, okay, so that you can score in those questions. Okay, so these 4 steps, obviously when you see these questions, the application question, I don't expect you to write down step by step. Step 1, what is the answer? Step 2, what's the answer? But during practice, don't change slide. Why don't change slide? Don't worry, I'll email you the slide. There's no need to copy. Okay, just listen and try to understand. Okay, okay, very good. Just go. Alman, very good. I know you're trying to copy. Okay, if you want to take down some notes, no problem. Okay, if it's good also, if you want to take down some notes, then you can remember better. All right, I like students who, you take down notes in between. You want to take the picture? Alamak, no need lah. Okay, later I'll send you. Okay, don't worry. All right. Okay, so let's move on. All right, let's take a look at, let's go back to this question. This question, past PSLE question, I think if I'm not wrong, was 2 years ago, 2014 paper. Okay. All right. Now, actually this part here is supposed to come, line by line, but once I upload it, everything comes out at the same time. Okay, never mind. I will try to see what I can do, but it's okay. Okay, this is just a practice. Okay. So coming back to this question, so you can see, observe the first part, step number 1, observe and list the key objects mentioned in the question. Okay, so we need to be sharp. You need to open your eyes, okay, and clearly read word for word and see what are the key objects mentioned. Okay, so firstly, you will be able to identify and see that the body was dry before swimming and wet after swimming. Okay, so Wen Hao was dry, the body was dry, and then after that, okay, his body was wet, and you can see that he's shivering. So he felt cold when he came out of the water. He felt cold. All right. So what happened next? Okay, at that moment, a strong wind blew, and he felt even colder. So he felt even colder when the wind blew. Okay. So what happened here? So step number 2: recall, identify the science topic being tested. Okay, being tested. So the topic here is on the topic of water. Okay, not evaporation. It's a bigger topic of water, but under the topic of water, okay, the relevant concepts here you will be able to identify is evaporation. Okay, can you tell me what is being evaporated here? What evaporates here? Okay, Mikhail, can you tell us what is evaporating here? Water droplets. Okay, very good, because once you come up from the water on the body, very good. So once you come up from the swimming pool, okay, the water droplets around the body will evaporate. All right, so let's recall what's the meaning of evaporation. Okay, in primary 5 you learned that evaporation is the change of state. Okay, change of state from liquid to gaseous state. Okay, now for evaporation to take place, what must happen? The water must have gained heat. All right, not lose heat, it must have gained heat. All right, so these are the keywords you must mention about change of state from liquid to gaseous state, and it must have gained heat. Now, why do you think Wen Hao felt cold? Why do you think he felt cold? So next, you must be able to answer the question to link back to the question. Explain why he felt even colder when the strong wind blew. Okay. All right. So, okay, I have the answers here. Okay. It was supposed to come out, after I asked you a question, but it's okay. The water droplets on his body gain heat. Right. The water droplets gain heat from his body and evaporated. Okay. Number 1, you need to mention about gain heat from his body. Now, some of the students will say that the water droplet gain heat from the surrounding. It's true, the water droplets also gain heat from the surrounding, but you will not be answering the question, because the question is why he felt colder. So you need to mention why he is shivering. So the water droplets, when it was evaporating, okay, it gained heat from his body. Okay, that is why Wen Hao felt cold. Okay, as the water evaporated, changing state from liquid state to gaseous state, it gained heat from his body. That's why he felt cold. Okay. Okay. Yes, you can also say his body loses heat. All right. His body loses heat, not lose body temperature. Okay. His body loses heat. and the water droplets gain heat, also can. All right, so there must be a mention about the transfer of heat. So the transfer of heat, the heat transfer from his body to the water droplets. Okay. Right. So the next part, so we have only answered the first part. Now, when the strong wind blew, what happened? We know, let's recall, what are the factors affecting the rate of evaporation? Okay, so you mentioned that, okay, Ivana asks, his body loses heat to surrounding. Okay, loses heat to the surrounding, it is not really relevant because remember here, the question here is that he went for a swim, and after he went for a swim, his body was wet. All right, so meaning that, okay, we need to mention about the effect of evaporation. Okay, how evaporation affects, cause him to felt cold, right? So in this instance, the object that we are interested here is not the surrounding, not so much of the surrounding, but the water droplets. Okay, Ivana. So when the water droplets evaporated, it gained heat, and gain heat from who? Gain heat from Wan Hao. That's why he felt cold. All right. Okay, I want to test you all. What are the factors affecting rate of evaporation? Okay, there are about 5 factors affecting the rate of evaporation. Okay, let's ask. Okay, who wants to volunteer? Taufik. Okay, Taufik. Can you share with us what give me one factor affecting rate of evaporation? Okay, presence of wind. Inshira said presence of wind. Very good. Liana said exposed surface area. Okay, if you say exposed surface area is incomplete. All right, exposed surface area of water. Okay, this is a very common mistake. Because if you say exposed surface area, are you referring to exposed surface area of the container? Okay, exposed surface area of container is wrong, because the object that is evaporating here, it is not the container, but the water. Okay, okay, Sarah, temperature of what? Okay, please be specific. Temperature of the surrounding. Okay, surrounding temperature also affects or increases the rate of evaporation. Humidity, yes. Okay, humidity affects water. Okay, very good, water. Okay, what about water? Sarah, what you mentioned? Or temperature of water, yes, of course. Okay, temperature of water also affects the rate of evaporation. Presence of wind, temperature, humidity. Okay, all right, very good. Let's move on to this question. Okay, so we know that one of the factors that affecting the rate of evaporation is wind, the presence of wind. So when the wind blows, what happened to rate of evaporation here in this question? It will increase, right? So rate of evaporation increases, hence his body will lose heat more quickly. That's why you can see here in this picture here, he's only shivering a little bit. In this picture, he's shivering a lot. Okay, why? Because when the strong wind blew, the rate of evaporation increases. So when the rate of evaporation increases, all right, the body will lose heat faster. All right. Okay, very good. Okay, let's move on to the next question. All right, so we can see here, let's recall. Step number 1, observe and list the key objects. Step number 2, recall and identify the science topic being tested. Step number 3, identify the science concepts. In this instance is evaporation. And step number 4, you must be able to explain. Okay, link back the concepts of evaporation to the question. Okay, a common mistake here, students say that, oh, the water evaporated, okay, and it gained heat from the surrounding. Okay, Mikhail, your connection is very bad. Okay, hopefully you can hear me. It get resolved very quickly. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay, this is another past PSLE question. All right, step number 1. Okay, let's take